Good afternoon, many thanks, and I have to thank Doug Coleman for inviting us to give this talk. He did give us a very tough slot though, just before lunch. I'll try not to bore you too much and get you off to your food quickly. If we could start the presentation. Just very quickly, a little bit of background about Terracor, the company that I represent. We are a blend of a South African and an American company that we put together a couple of years ago, offering hyperspectral core imaging as a service. It's still fairly new to the industry. There are only a couple of companies doing this work at the moment, and hopefully today I can convince you that there should be more doing this. It's a diverse group of people. We've had to incorporate some mathematicians along with geologists and engineers and software people to build this little company. So far, so good. We've done a lot of work. We've got about 650 kilometers of core that we've collected so far, and we plan obviously to do a whole lot more. Done a lot of work in the industry, but also for governments, in particular in Europe, in Scandinavia. We are very happy to have ALS Minerals as an equity partner. They own 20% of Terracor, which gives us some backing and some really strong partner. And in Mexico, we are partnered with Globe Explore, and a shout out to them. They've been extremely helpful with marketing us in this country. Just to give you a flavor of what our instruments look like, we've got 3 different types. We have a big, a medium, and a tiny. And they are fit for purpose at different operations. I think the point to make is that they're all mobile and can be taken absolutely anywhere. Okay, enough about the marketing. Let's get on to the more important part, which is to talk about core. We're fairly passionate about core. It's something often I think that people tend to take for granted, but it is the most important asset that most projects will have. It's the only tangible example you've got of your ore body, of the surrounding rocks. It serves then as your main sample, obviously, but also as an early warning system to tell you that ore may not be right with that, or to give you the information to make sure that you can treat this ore body in the way that it needs to be treated. So just to take you through the main activities that happen during logging, during exploration, obviously, it's just defining, characterizing what we're looking at, and in particular alteration, which is a key component of the exploration process. If it's successful enough, you can adjust your drill program and optimize that and save yourself time and money in the process. Once you've got your teeth into something, you're going to stay at this particular place, you start defining a resource, you do a lot of infill drilling. The logging changes a little bit now because you start into domain, you need to understand your ore body, how the different grade domains fit into the geological model. Look for extensions to the resource. Then we move into the feasibility stage, and it's at this point that things start to get, for me anyway, very interesting, because that's when we start to look at how this ore body might perform when you put it through a plant, when you mine it, when you start to physically exploit it. So at that point, there's a term there that I've put in called geometallurgy. It could be called resource engineering. There's a bunch of different terms for it, but it's basically a predictive technique for figuring out what this ore body is going to do, and logging is an absolutely key component for that. That's probably the most important input into that whole process. Of course, there's always characterization, there's geotech, and then once you're in production, there's grade control, there's obviously geometallurgy needs to continue through the process, monitor what materials are going through the plant, ore versus waste. Again, you're still doing more geotech work, and now you get into the brownfields exploration stage. I think something that's important to point out is that the amount of time available for logging tends to decrease as you move up the mining chain. Once you're in production, it's very difficult to log core. There's not a lot of time for people to do it, or to log even chips, blast hole chips, grade control chips, whatever they may be, but the volumes tend to increase as well. So you've got a really difficult job on your hands. You're trying to get through a lot of material very quickly, and often it's not done particularly well. So that's kind of the way that we use logging at the moment.